All right. Let me just drink some water because I'm dehydrated.
So everyone's ready to follow along with the reading.
Are we ready?
We're ready. All you're doing is listening. Very
Dígame. Oh
good.
no. Oh no. Okay. Here we go. From the novel Dracula, diary entry. When I found that I was a prisoner, a sort of wild feeling came over me. I rushed up and down the stairs, trying every door and peering out of every window I could find. But after a little, the conviction of my helplessness overpowered all other feelings. Okay, conviction is a strong belief. All right, so he's got a strong sense of helplessness. Strong sense of helplessness. Overpowered all other feelings. When I look back after a few hours, I think I must have been mad for a time. What does he mean by mad?
Insane,
Good,
insanity.
good. All right. So he's questioning his sanity. Um, but he says, I think, right? He's not sure. Remember when I told you, how do you know if you're going crazy or not when there's nobody around you to tell you that you're crazy?
You start hearing stuff
Yeah.
or seeing
Right.
things.
So this guy, the narrator, is helpless for some reason, and he's looking out of every single window, and he's starting to think he's going crazy for the time. For I behaved much like as a rat does in a trap. What does a rat do in a trap?
Like stuck.
Panic,
Wants to
like
escape,
move
tries to get
around.
Yeah, panics. It runs around trying to get out, going crazy. When, however, the conviction, the belief had come to me that I was helpless, I sat down quietly. All right, so it's for, if I don't know, 1 through 10 levels of fear. I think up here he's probably a level 10, right? So
Right, I
something.
think so. When you start feeling like you're going crazy because you're so scared. That sounds extreme.
So then he gets control of himself and he sits down quietly as I have ever done anything in my life, and began to think over what was best to be done. I'm thinking still, and as yet have come to no definite conclusion. Of one thing only am I certain, that it is no use making my ideas known to the Count. Count, what is a Count? A Count is a title belonging to a man of European royalty, all right? Count Dracula is his name. All right, so, hold on a second, good. It's no use making my ideas known to the Count. So this narrator is trapped, and I think he's trapped by the Count, by Count Dracula. He knows well that I am imprisoned, okay? I am imprisoned. Imprisoned. Now, a lot of our students think that this guy, the narrator's in jail. He's not. He's held hostage. And as he has done it himself, and he has done it himself. So the Count has taken the narrator as a prisoner and has doubtless his own motives for it. He would only deceive me if I trusted him fully with the facts. So far as I can see, my only plan will be to keep my knowledge and my fears to myself and my eyes open. I am, I know, either being deceived like a baby by my own fears. His own fear is tricking him. Or else I am in desperate straits. What are straits? Causing difficulty, distress. All right, so he's in desperate distress. And if the latter, belonging to subsequent time period, more recent, all right, more recent or relating to the end. So that means if he is in desperate straits, if he is in big trouble, I need and shall need all my brains to get through. All right, so let me stop right here for a second and clear some things up with you. All right, some of these I'm going to do myself. You won't have to do these when you get your copy. So who are we talking about here? Who? We have a narrator, right? We have narrator. It's told first person point of view. You don't have to write in complete sentences unless I tell you to. right? So we have a narrator and we have the Count. And I'm going to put his name there, Count Dracula. All right, who? What? What's going on? What's going on? The narrator is held hostage. Hostage. When? Unknown. Probably in the 1800s. Where? Count Dracula's castle. All right, so we have a bunch of elements of Gothic literature already. Why is he held? This is, if you notice, I always make that mistake. This is unknown. All right, it is unknown why, and fear of the unknown is one of the strongest fears. I had hardly come to this conclusion when I heard the great door below shut and knew that the Count had returned. He did not come at once to the library, so I went cautiously to my own room and found him making the bed. All right? So the Count has a castle, but he's making his own bed, or somebody's bed. This was odd, right? You would think a man who's got a castle is very rich and would have servants making the bed. This was odd, but only confirmed what I had all along thought, that there were no servants in the house. When later I saw him through the chink, a chink is a little cleft, it's a little slit, it's a little crack or something that you can look through. When I saw him through the chink of the hinges of the door laying the table in the dining room, I was assured of it. For if he does himself all of these menial offices, menial is a person who does menial work like a domestic servant. So he does all the domestic work in the castle, the cooking, the cleaning. Right? Surely it is proof that there is no one else to do them. All right. This gave me a fright. For if there is no one else in the castle, it must have been the Count himself who was the driver of the coach. The coach is a large, closed, four-wheel, horse-driven carriage. Okay, so it's a horse-drawn carriage, so it's around the 1800s, having doors on the sides. All right? So the Count was the driver of the coach that brought me here. Okay, so what has happened before this excerpt is that this narrator is going to Romania, to Transylvania, to sell some property, discuss selling some property. And he's picked up by, it would be a livery taxi. They would consider a livery taxi back then, one of the black cabs, right? But the man that's driving this carriage, this horse-drawn carriage, is the Count himself. It must have been the Count himself who was the driver of the coach that brought me here. This is a terrible thought, for if so, what does it mean that he could control the wolves as he did? All right? Dracula is able to control the wolves. He's got supernatural powers, as he did, by only holding up his hand in silence. How was it that all the people at Bistritz, okay? Bistritz is a town in Transylvania, it's a suburb of Transylvania in Romania, right, where this takes place. Right? How was it that all the people at Bistritz and on the coach had some terrible fear for me? Right? Everybody was scared for the narrator. What meant the giving of the crucifix, the cross, of the garlic? If you want to see these images, they're right there. Right? Of the wild rose. Wild rose, looks like that. Of the mountain ash. Mountain ash is a type of tree that grows around Transylvania. They're giving him branches. All right, so the people of this town are giving the narrator branches from the tree. They're giving him roses. They're giving him crucifix. They're giving him garlic. Anybody have any reason what these things might be used for?
To kill
Yeah,
him.
It's the vampires, like,
kill
or the moth.
right.
Never mind.
Yeah, it keeps the vampires away, all right? Bless that good woman who hung the crucifix around my neck, for it is a comfort and a strength to me whenever I touch it. It is odd that a thing that which I have been taught to regard with disfavor and as idolatrous, right? Disfavor means you don't like it. Idolatrous is the worship of idols. So he finds it odd that the crucifix should, in a time of loneliness and trouble, be of help. All right. So this narrator must have been brought up to not accept religion. He's probably an atheist. Is it that there is something in the essence of the thing itself? Is there something in the essence of the thing itself, the individual, the real thing itself, or that it is a medium, a tangible help? All right. There's something about the crucifix that gives him comfort. Something about religion suddenly that gives him comfort. Okay. That's how scared this guy is that he's turning to religion. All right. People always say the older you get, the closer to religion. The closer to death you get, the closer to God people get. That's the whole saying. All right. Or is it a tangible help? Tangible is something you can touch and conveying memories of sympathy and comfort. Sometime, if it may be, I must examine this matter and try to make up my mind about it. That means if he ever gets out of here alive, he's going to figure out his connection with religion. In the meantime, I must find out all I can about Count Dracula, as it may help me to understand. Tonight, that's an archaic, that's an old-fashioned way of type of writing tonight. Tonight, he may talk of himself if I turn the conversation that way. I must be very careful, however, not to awake his suspicion. All right, not to awake his suspicion. So first, the narrator is just freaking out. He's at this high level of fear. He's panicking. He's running around looking out every window trying to find a way out. And then he calms himself down and he realizes that if he doesn't get a control of himself, he's going to go crazy. And the only way out of this imprisonment, being a hostage of Dracula's, the only way out is to use his brain, to use his mind. All right. So the significance of Dracula living alone. The significance of Dracula living alone is that, I don't know, somebody answer and help me. The narrator has nobody to turn to, does he? Mm-hmm. He can't go ask for help from anybody, all right? What do the people of Bistris give the narrator? You can find those things up here. You'll answer these on your own. What gives the narrator comfort? Cross, of course. What does his comfort tell us about the narrator? His level of fear is and you answer that. Okay. Why is his level of fear that high? Think about that. Okay. So then the excerpt from the passage, it jumps to a later chapter, the next chapter, I think. Later, I endorse. Endorse means I write on the back of his which I want to. Oh, it didn't come out. The right one didn't come out. All right. It's to support. I endorse the last words written, but this time there's no doubt in question. I shall not fear to sleep in any place where he is not. I shall not fear to sleep any place where he is not. I have placed the crucifix over the head of my bed. I imagine that my rest is thus freer from dreams, and there it shall remain. All right, so look at that one right there. Those questions there.
I don't think we can see the questions yet. He's going to come and scroll down. Do you guys have any questions so far? You can ask or type in the chat.
Okay, thank you so much. They told me that we're full remote tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Did you know that?
No, that must be a new change, huh?
It was Maureen from the custodial office because I asked her if we had to stay here tonight for parent-teacher.
Oh, I guess because tomorrow is only half a day anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see, 10 points. The narrator affirms that I shall not fear to sleep in any place where he is not. In other words, I want you to interpret the quote using your own words. Now, we're getting lazy. We're already starting off lazy with interpreting our quotes, I've noticed. A lot of students are taking some great textual evidence in their writing, but they're not interpreting the quote. And if they would realize that some parts of the quote don't fit their central idea. They don't even need it. All right, so we need to interpret the quotes. We're going to start focusing on that a lot more. Okay, so I shall not fear to sleep any place where he is not. All right, I shall not. It's strangely written, but I shall not fear to sleep. Okay, wherever Dracula isn't, the narrator can sleep. All right, but Dracula is there all day, so the narrator must be staying up. Dracula's there all night, so the narrator must be staying up all night. Okay, line 43. When he left me, I went to my room. After a little while, not hearing any sound, I came out and went up the stone stair where I could look out towards the south. There was some sense of freedom in the vast expanse, inaccessible though it was to me, as I've compared with the narrow darkness of the courtyard. Looking out of this, so the narrator's looking out of a window, right? And this is a big stone castle. Looking out of this, I felt that I was indeed in prison, and I seemed to want a breath of fresh air, though it were of the night. I am beginning to feel this nocturnal existence tell on me, of or relating to occurring in the night, active at night. So the narrator is staying up all night long, scared for his life, right? To feel this nocturnal existence tell on me. It is destroying my nerve as in control, his, what is it? His ability to control his emotion, all right? Not getting enough sleep can wear on you. I start at my own shadow. To move suddenly, it means startled. Okay, so the narrator is startled by his own shadow. He jumps. And full of all sorts of horrible imaginings. God knows that there is ground for my terrible fear in this accursed place, all right? It's under a curse. I looked out over the beautiful expanse. What a juxtaposition, right? He's scared to death, but it's just beautiful when he looks out the window. You have all this fear juxtaposed with the beauty of the countryside, bathed in soft yellow moonlight till it was almost as light as day. In the soft light, the distant hills became melted, and the shadows in the valleys and the gorges of velvety blackness. A gorge is a narrow passage through mountains and hills, canyons. Number 10, you'll do this tonight. The narrator confesses, I am beginning to feel this nocturnal existence tell on me. All right, so when you interpret a quote, you're going to interpret the entire quote. You need to interpret every sentence. I'm beginning to feel this nocturnal existence telling on me. All right, being up all night is starting to affect him physically and mentally. It's destroying his mental qualities. He's jumping physically. He's jumping at his own shadows, full of all sorts of. He's imagining all sorts of horrible things happening to him. All right. So I want you to interpret the whole quote. Line 54. The mere beauty seemed to cheer me. There was peace and comfort in every breath I drew. As I leaned from the window, my eye was caught by something moving a story below me. All right, that's a level of a building, a story below me. And if you notice, it's got some spellings that are British because the author is Irish, and they use British spellings. As I leaned from the window, my eye was caught by something moving a story below me, and somewhat to my left, where I imagined, from the order of rooms, that the windows of the Count's own room would look out. The window at which I stood was tall and deep and stone mullioned. Right? Stone mullioned means that it's a castle, so the windows they're not made of wood. They're made of they've got stone. Okay. And though weather-worn was still complete, but it was evidently many a day since the case had been there. I drew back behind the stonework and looked carefully out. What manner of a man is this? All right, what manner of a man is this? He's talking about the Count. Okay, what is he? Or what manner of a creature? Or what manner of a creature? Is it? He calls it it. in the semblance. A semblance is like resemble, right? Outward and often spacious appearance or showing form, aspect, or countenance, right? Just think of semblance as a resemblance. In the resemblance or in the semblance of man. I feel the dread. Dread means to fear greatly, to regard with awe, to feel extreme reluctance to meet or face something. I feel the dread of this horrible place overpowering me, more fear. I am in fear, in awful fear, and there is no escape for me. I am encompassed, or I am circled about with terrors that I dare not think of. You will, incomplete sentences are acceptable right here. What word or phrase is repeated over more often than most other words or phrases in this passage? All right, I can answer this right now if somebody helps me. What word is repeated over and over and over?
And look at those last couple lines.
Yeah, guys, just take a guess. I mean, just look at the last couple lines.
What is repeated?
Fear.
Yes.
Fear. Fear. All right. So that means, obviously, look at my spelling. Obviously. Oh man. Obviously, fear is the subject of the central idea. All right. So fear is going to be the subject of our central ideas. All right. I want you to figure out how often the word is repeated. You can do that yourself. Letter F. Based on the text, what is the subject of the central idea? Fear. Based on the text, what is so important about the subject of the central idea? Okay, here's what you do for your paragraphs. All right. Think of the subject fear. What about it? We've got to come up with two things about fear. All right. What about fear?
Right. Think about what fear is doing to him, the narrator. What is fear? The impact of this fear. You can think that
Fear
way.
can make you go mad.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going slowly insane.
Fear could
Okay.
make you want to kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Fear can kill you.
Okay, so fear has the power of making one question one's own sanity. One may question one's own sanity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can it do anything else? I'm going to put this down here.
It affects his ability to think.
Mm-hmm. So it's
What did I do? Okay,
it's maybe overpowering a person's ability to think rationally or something.
His intellect.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Those are good.
So when I write my paper, I've got two things here. This is going to be body paragraph 1. This will be body paragraph 2. And I can put them in my central idea too. Okay, so when we're faced with a difficult text, we have a strategy. We look for things that repeat themselves, right? The people who put these kind of exams together, and you'll have this type of writing in college as well, they choose a novel or they choose excerpts from novel, and they're very careful to make sure that there is a strategy to find it, regardless of of what level a reader may be at. There's strategies to use to figure out you'll compose a central idea, one complete sentence, and be sure to include the literary device characterization. You can put your central idea right here. And that will be it. Are there questions? I'm going to open this up so that you can have your copy now. Your copy will have my notes on it.